Whew, look at this article. This is an interesting one. Yes, tiny lizard-like muscles. Huh. Lizard-like muscles. Where have we heard that before? We grow a lizard-like tail in the womb of the human woman, don't we? We grow a lizard-like tail. That apparently just doesn't make it to our 10th birthday. Apparently these lizard-like hand muscles, I think that's a hand there. Actually, I'm not sure. What is that? Yeah, I think that's a hand. Anyway, so apparently these other lizard phenotypes are, or muscles in this case, as the phenotype, are also not making it outside the womb. Anyway, let's go to the top of this article, livescience.com. We'll come back to that one. Let's have a little look. 10 things we learned about humans in 2019. I thought this is a good video to do because there was another article I covered just the other day, which I'm also going to upload this week. Something about what did we learn about animals in 2019. There was some interesting stuff in there too, like the Komodo dragon, the immortal. Amazing. Anyway. Humans are incredible living machines. Well, there it is. They said it. Must be true. Now, look, the other day we went over that organic portal Cyborgicus Organicus video where I was just talking about the universe in the context of, being like a machine. Incredible living machines we are, humans, with legs strong enough to run marathons and brains smart enough to know what invisible dark matter exists. Yeah, I guess that is a bit of feat of strength of our mental ability. Anyway, Jello hearing, the first point here. So there should be 10. Okay, Jello, humans might hear so well because of a tiny Jello violin that sits inside the ears. The thin blob of tissue, so look at the picture above as well, otherwise known as the tectorial membrane, is made up of 97% water. Wow, that's interesting. That's why I always talk about, anionization and grounding. Remember, standing barefoot, not sitting down, standing meditation on earth with that K1 meridian, the ball of the big toe, on the ground. And the reason I always talk about that is endlessly, and you've heard, a lot of people in the past, I don't know, let's call them sacred people into sacred stuff. Definitely not organic portals, because they're not into anything sacred, truly. Oh, there's another way you can identify organic portals. See, that's why you need to tune into these videos without the organic portal titles as well. So, they definitely don't hold things sacred. Anyway, so you've heard sacred people go on about, like alignment. And that's why I always go on about it, because it matters. Also, when we talk about, escaping the matrix the way we came back in, we need to fractally align our heart. Remember, we are in a fractal system. Even time is fractal. So, anyway, one ion, or negatively charged anion or ion, aligns 1 million water molecules, and it's said we're made mostly of water, like 80% water, our body, right? 97% water in the hearing, in this little Jello violin that's in our ear, 97%. So when you anionize, you're aligning all that water to be able to communicate better. So your hearing even will get better, you see? This tissue helps to bring sound waves from the ear to nerve receptors. See, I wasn't just making it up. It'll make your hearing better, which then translates that vibration into an electrical signal the brain can read. Alright, the new research conducted on mice has found that this ear jello helps the cochlea, a cavity in the inner ear that contains these nerve receptors, separate high frequencies from low frequencies, like organic portal people. And I swear that they can only hear in like a denser landscape. It's said that we see 1% of the sound spectrum and 1% of the visible spectrum, hear and see 1% of those spectrums. And what I'm putting forth is I think that the hue man of the hue, makes sense, can interpret more of the invisible hue than just this 1% of visible light, right? So, and there's even people out there with like actual X-ray special power vision and stuff. And I've had flashes of X-ray. It's very interesting. It's not like I can turn it on at will. I would have to find the frequency and then I would be able to turn it on at will. So I'll meditate on this one day. But I've had flashes of X-ray, like looking at something and the X-ray will come in my third eye. So anyway, just a little story there. Tiny capillaries. Our bones might be full of previously unknown network of microscopic tunnels. Now this is interesting. These pathways might be vital for transporting immune cells. All right. Yes. Stop drinking water. Wait. Oh, okay. Yeah, stop drinking water. That's a nice psychedelic picture, isn't it? Science has become quite psychedelic with all these luminescent dyes. The brain makes sure that and so should it be, because the universe is psychedelic. Have you seen how a dragonfly sees stuff? Check out that video online. It shows you how different insects view the world. That's some psychedelia right there. Because that made it obvious to me that what we're seeing on some of these psychedelic trips is indeed just like a different perspective of sight. Like you might be seeing, like I said, in aforementioned sentence, in X-ray, or you might see microwave vision, and that world then appears to you in your vision. And that's why it's always so hard to tell on psychedelics, what the hell am I looking at? Because it could be anything, right, on any spectrum. So it takes a while to work it out. And most of us aren't even aware on the level that I just said on different spectrums and thinking about that. Most of you are just, looking at your neighbor, going to work the next day with your visible eyes, and that's all you're doing. So that's all you're training in. Anyway, the brain makes sure that we don't drink too much water or too little water. Oh, thank you, brain. Using a prediction mechanism in the gut. So this is very interesting. A brain region that regulates blood pressure and other bodily processes is home to thirst cells. A few seconds after drinking something, the mouth and throat begin firing signals to the brain. These signals tell the brain you feel less thirsty, so you stop drinking. That way you don't keep drinking for the 10 minutes to an hour it takes for that liquid to actually enter the bloodstream and circulate to the cells of your body. But your mouth and throat would tell your brain to quench your thirst irrespective of the type of liquid you're drinking. So if it was salty water, for instance. This one comes from the gut, and it makes sure the brain knows that the water reaching it is salty, which can dehydrate the body, or non-salty, ensuring the brain quenches thirst only when the mice drank fresh water. New organ discovered. Here we are. This year, scientists discovered a new organ that sits right under our skin and may help you feel the pain of a pinprick. It was previously thought that needle pricks were sensed by nerve endings. Yeah, now I see why this is a revelation, because this makes much more sense that there's like an actual cellular film with nerve bundles in it, not just like when you prick a pin into you, you're pricking directly into a nerve ending. So that sounds a bit more, I don't know, it's like a needle in a haystack more. Anyway, pardon the pun. But a new study conducted on mice found that nerves tangled up in special cells are what help us feel this sensation. This mesh of branch cells called Schwann cells and nerves together make up a new sensory organ. So it's just below your skin. You can read more there anyway. Tiny lizard-like muscles. Here we go. Back to what I started the video on. Tiny lizard-like muscles. Human embryos grow extra lizard-like muscles. Don't forget the tail, right? in their hands and feet that disappear before birth. Scientists found by looking at 3D images from an embryonic image database, a group found that at about week 7 of gestation, human fetuses had hands and feet that contained about 30 muscles each. 6 weeks later, they contained only 20 muscles. Before the baby is born, those extra muscles either meld into other muscles or shrink away, but it's unclear why or how. Very interesting, huh? Can read more about that. World's oldest people. Let's see. Supercentenarians, or people who are 110 years of age or older, might have a secret. Have higher than average concentrations of the immune called a T helper cell. Damn, does that mean I'm not going to live as long? I don't think I have a huge amount of those, I don't know. That may protect them from viruses and tumours. Maybe that means mine are stronger, I don't know. Maybe I have a deficiency. Maybe I read a study wrong. Anyway. Supercentenarians had a type of T helper cell called CD4-CTLS. Special type, eh? Had a type of T helper cell called CD4-CTLS that had the capability to attack and kill other cells. Of course, it's not clear if supercentenarians owe their longevity to these immune cells, but it could be a factor. Brain efficiency. There might be a reason why some people are really good at trivia and seem to know everything. Very efficiently wired brains. Okay. These people had retained knowledge. Oh, that didn't say much. Anyway, I hope you can read that on the screen, but again, researchers didn't find any link between more general knowledge and more brain cells. So more brain cells doesn't necessarily have a link to more knowledge yet. Interesting. Immune cell X. Oh, interesting. Psychedelic. Look at that. That's straight out of one of my visions. Scientists have discovered a previously unknown type of cell in the human body. Wow. Still discovering cells. This is pretty awesome, eh? That's 2 different new cells we've discovered in one article in 2019. And it could act as 2 other immune cell types, immune cell X, playing a role in triggering type 1 diabetes. There's likely not a lot of these cells in the human body, maybe less than 7 out of every 10,000 white blood cells, but they might be powerful players in driving autoimmunity when the body mistakes its own cells for something foreign and attacks them. These X cells, so what's that, MS and stuff, right? These X cells, multiple sclerosis people have that, don't they? These X cells resemble both B cells and T cells, right? 2 cell types that are important for fighting infections, but are also responsible for autoimmune diseases like MS. The X cell makes antibodies like B cells that activate T cells, which then go on to attack anything it deems foreign. In the case of type 1 diabetes, immune cells mistakenly destroy healthy beta cells in the pancreas that make the hormone insulin. The researchers found evidence that these X cells exist in those with type 1 diabetes, but not in healthy controls. Okay, so X cells exist in type 1 diabetes people. Interesting. Tongues can smell. In other news, the cells on your tongues have the ability to smell. Right, so we don't need a nose. Researchers discovered this after growing human taste cells in the lab. They found those cells contained a couple of molecules found in olfactory cells. The cells found in the nose that are responsible for well smelling. When they exposed taste molecules, the cells responded just like the olfactory cells do. This isn't uncommon. Olfactory cells have also previously been found in the gut, so we're smelling in our gut as well. In sperm cells, and even in hair. So your hair is smelling. Though we knew that taste and smell were greatly intertwined. That's interesting. This study suggests human taste cells might be much more complicated than previously thought. Yeah, especially if they're in the hair, because our hair is like antennae. So are we smelling pheromones with our hair? I put it forth that we probably are. Limit to human endurance. Okay, let's have a look. Even the endurance athletes have limited energy. I grew up being an endurance athlete. So yes, I can verify their scientific claims. I have limited energy. I can't run forever. To be around 2.5 times the body's resting metabolic rate. Okay. Data. They found that the longer the event, the more difficult it became to burn calories. But athletes don't fall to the ground when they reach this 2.5 times threshold. That's because we're endurance. They can keep going, but they can't maintain a balance of the number of calories consumed and the amount burned. So they begin to lose weight, which isn't sustainable in the long term. What's more, researchers found that pregnant women operated at around 2.2 times their resting metabolic rate just by growing a baby. Right. Hard work, that baby growing. Well, that's apparently the article finished. So there you go. Thanks, Live Science. That was a cool article. I just want to rewind to this, so because that was all interesting, but tiny lizard-like muscles, hey?